you nice and they serve you well, you don't mind leaving them a little something, something on the table when you get ready to leave. Bishop T.D. Jakes, the greatest preacher in America, according to Time magazine. A man who has been the guest of royalty all over the world, who has preached from Johannesburg to the United Kingdom. But when he came to West Virginia, those were his words. Those were his words. He said, I preached from Johannesburg to the United Kingdom. I have been entertained by heads of state. He says, but I've never received any better treatment I've received since I've been here. It's something about when you're served by people that you love and that love you. It brings out the best in you, and it wants you to be better because you know they didn't have to do it. Are you listening to me? We treat strangers normally better than we treat our own folk. Or somebody who's outside the family because we don't want them to know how mean we are or how selfish we are. Whereas inside the house, we don't even bring nobody a glass of water. Ask somebody to bring you a glass of water, they holler back, slave days over. What does slavery got to do with you bringing me a glass of water? I just want a glass of water. You going that way, right by the refrigerator. As a matter of fact, you going into it to get something out of it. Just grab me a bottle of water on the way back. Slave days over. Now, if a stranger was in the house, we'll offer him water. Do you want it bottled? Do you want Pierre? Do you want it tapped? Do you want what? We go out of our way. But somebody in our own family, man, we don't want to bring him a glass of water. And so to be served by the people who don't have to serve you, it makes you feel valued. So Jesus was communicating to his disciples as I close. He wanted them to feel valued by each other. He wanted them to value each other and treat each other in a valuable way because he knew what was getting ready to happen to him. And he also knew that after his departure, the same hostility that had been directed toward him would be directed toward them. And all they would have was each other. And if they didn't learn how to serve each other and value each other, they would collapse under the pressure, under the burden, under the weight of trying to do the ministry and trying to preach and trying to pray and trying to visit the sick and trying to stand up for what was right, but receive no encouragement from each other. So he wanted them to value each other. And so if you don't serve nobody else, just serve each other. As you serve each other, you'll build each other up, and together you'll be able to go out as a mighty army and do a great work for God. These are the table talk lessons that Jesus shares with disciples in the twilight hours of his life. He's warning them through Judas, don't be close to the truth without embracing the truth. You might be setting yourself up as a target for the devil. He's reminding them that in the mundane things of life, little silly, simple things you don't even think anything about, when you're trying to treat people right and be kind and nice to people, that God can use that to be a blessing and to be a testimony to other people. And lastly, he says we learn how to serve each other in the tough, tight quarters of at home and at the church. Then we'll build each other up and we'll show value to each other. As I close with this, one of the perils of having a public radio ministry, that your signal or your signature becomes your voice. It becomes your voice. And so I will be in a store or at a restaurant. I was up at the Capitol the other day for a meeting, and afterwards the group of us decided to have lunch down in the basement there of the remodeled Capitol. I think someone told me that they've excommunicated all the roaches from up there. They shut the Capitol cafeteria down at one time. And so I'm coming through the line, and I'm talking to Reverend Dennis Sparks and to Bob Hardy, because they one behind me and one in front of me. And this woman says to me, "Are you Reverend Watts?" And I use my classical response. I always say it all depends. It all depends. I might know him, I might not know him. It just all depends on what's next. And she was very kind and she was very gracious. You know, she said, well, I listened to you on the radio on Sunday morning and I recognized your voice and you were coming through, you know. And it's kind of a reminder, you know, I got to watch out what I say up here. You know, you got to watch how you treat people. You got to be careful because you exposed. And so all of us have a certain level of exposure, that people know us and we don't know they know us. People watching us and we don't know they're watching us. And people are coming to a conclusion about Christ, his kingdom, and about the church based on what they see and hear from us, and we don't even know it. And so the mundane, daily walk of life is very, very important because God is advancing his kingdom every single day. And God is using those who name the name of Christ to move and advance that kingdom forward. Let's bow together, shall we? Father, we thank you.